2011, a 28-year-old rapper from Queens, New York, squat thrusted his way onto the music scene with a heady mix of classic New York vocal delivery and a unique brand of rap content focused around food, New York street culture, and a tongue-in-cheek litany of braggadocious claims.
$700 bottle of that monstrous shade, far and away, extraordinary bar display.
But New York is full of rappers and big characters, so how did this one particularly break through? And whether we're producing beats, designing aesthetic coffee shops, working on our first novel, or starting a high-end fashion brand, what underlying principle can we find in Action Bronson's success that we can take away and apply to our own creative practice?
You want to figure out which one of those things you can provide for society that it does not yet know how to get, but it will want. That's natural to you and within your skill set, within your capabilities.
Before we jump into it, a very quick pause just to say, for anyone who's been following along with the journey of this channel so far, you might note that I'm releasing a little less often now, as opposed to the weekly schedule. My aim with this is a basic push towards creating as high value content for this community as I can. Along the way, I'm also aiming to further incorporate work from subscribers into the videos and create more opportunities for the artists in this community to collaborate as well. Most importantly, thanks for everyone who's followed the journey so far, and I really hope you enjoy and get some value from this piece.
El Pozoleto, Cocinero, it's the Wild Weddle. The new LeBron up on my feet, step on the beam of pedal. And see with a stunning queen, diamonds like a French bread. 100 geese, we sipping burgundies in southern Greece.
So starting off with step one of this exploration now, and developing some understanding of category creation and how it can function in our work. For this, I want to start by asking the simple question: when we think of Action Bronson, the 20-something-year-old chef from Queens, New York, other than the great rapping and beats, what reasons can we find behind his global success?
See this? This is the mise en place. That means everything's in order. You see that? Gulf of Mexico right there. Fresco. So let's start it off.
To explore this, let me jump into a quick story that happened when Action visited the UK in 2014, and I invited some people to come to his shows with me.
London, May 17th. We're live at the Forum. I'm toned, I'm defined, I'm resilient, and I'm defiant.
So who is he? My friends asked, checking exactly what they were going to spend their money on. Well, he's a rapper, I said, but he's kind of a chef too, and he's got a kind of throwback New York rapping style, but it's food focused and over the top braggy. Now there's a fair bit going on in this description, but the story that I was telling them actually gives us a nice overview of what we're going to be talking about in this video. And conversations like this can be a useful thing to consider when we're thinking about how our own work might function in this context. What I was trying to explain to my friends here was Action Bronson the artist as an elevator pitch, i.e. one thing you know plus another thing you know, but with a few individual little twists on top. This is the footage from that show, where Action ended up leaving the venue for 20 minutes in the middle to get chicken from across the road. And for most artists, this would have probably left the crowd a little pissed off, but for Action, it fulfilled the expectations of the wild entertainer, rapper, and food-obsessed everyman all at once.
You already know.
Yeah, man.
Now at this stage, it would be easy to jump into a discussion of niche, i.e. Action Bronson succeeded and was compelling to a particular audience because he wasn't just a rapper who rapped about the same large topic area that everyone else did, but a rapper who rapped in a focused way about a specific subject area.
Priceless shit, sharp shoe, precise intent, pineapple, fried rice and fish, carve my niche.
But by looking beyond niche to this idea of category creation, I think we can actually take this a step further and make the discussion far more useful in terms of what we can learn for our own practice. Because Action hadn't simply narrowed the state of play in his rap lyrics. By focusing on an individualized content area and incorporating a deep and specific base of skills and knowledge that only he could, he'd created a whole new space in which his artistic expression and career could function.
But Bronson's not up here just talking about rap, though. We will get into some hip-hop talk.
Yeah,
but
man,
you got something else happening that's,
everything.
I don't want to say bigger than rap, but bigger than just rap.
Exactly.
So to understand this idea of category creation further and think about how it can help us reach more people with our work, I want to turn to a definition and exploration of the concept that I found in Forbes magazine. New categories aren't created by accident, the article reads. They appear when an entrepreneur identifies a problem and then comes up with a way to solve it, unlike anyone else. Now, we can't be sure how purposefully Action targeted his work around a crossover between food and rap, but by creating this new category of foodie slash rapper slash wild entertainer,
And Action Bronson with the Flushing Queen Stampede!
it was clear that he had tapped into something that society had a space for.
Captivating, me eating, seeing me dive off of like boats, a humble human, a good blue collar guy, a Queens guy.
Queens guy.
You know what I mean?
Coming back to our own practice now, and in section 2, I want to look at some thought experiments and practical ways that we can look to find crossover spaces and create categories for our work that are ready to be discovered. To start this, let's jump into some words from the modern business thinker Naval Ravikant, who himself straddles a position between marketing guru, life coach, and philosopher.
So society always wants new things. You want to figure out which one of those things you can provide for society that it does not yet know how to get, but it will want. That's natural to you and within your skill set, within your capabilities.
With Naval's discussion here, we're again looking at trying to build our creative projects with a mind to filling a space in society / culture that there is a need for. As artists and creators, I don't believe we can be out here shrewdly trying to search for gaps in the market to exploit. That can be left to the business and marketing sector. What separates creators who approach their work from a passionate and artistic place, along with that basis of skills that they have fostered over a long-term engagement with that passion, is that it's the artist, as opposed to the marketer or business person, that has the power to really push forward and execute on those ideas in a unique and interesting way. To encompass this fundamental understanding about the artistic process, I want to turn back to the words of Naval and look at his discussion of how we need to use our specific knowledge to create spaces in the market that only we ourselves can fill.
Specific knowledge is found much more by pursuing your innate talents, your genuine curiosity, and your passion. The first thing to notice about specific knowledge is that you can't be trained for it. If you can be trained for it, if you can go to a class and learn specific knowledge, then somebody else can be trained for it too. So very often, it's not something you sit down and you reason about. It's more found by observation. You almost have to look back on your own life and see what you're actually good at.
So in order to truly innovate and succeed in creating our own category, we need to reflect on our own lives and find the knowledge and skills that have been a fixture in our experience and come to define our identity and behaviors in a deep way.
Best way to clean your hands from dough
is
is flour. Rub it with the flour. It becomes more dough than you just add it. That's where you get the flavor from. When you get it all in there, the little crevices, put in that little salt flavor.
Like fish in a fishbowl, this specific knowledge is the water that has surrounded us our entire lives, but often remains outside of our daily awareness. To reflect upon and access these skills then, we must move a step back, detach ourselves, and ask ourselves what really separates our lived experience and identity from that of everybody else. To understand this process further, I want to take a look at this clip from Berkeley Online, exploring a practical way that we can understand our own creative identity and use this knowledge to combine our deep and internal passions and skills to create something unique.
One of the exercises that I have my students do as artists is to think of an artist that they're kind of similar to. Some people bristle at that a little bit, but if you really get down to it, there's often somebody who influenced you, whether it was the Beatles or the Stones or Lady Gaga or whoever. But then think of another artist that in some way you have some element that is similar to, and the second artist should be as far away from the first artist as possible. And then think about what I call your unique differentiator. And what that is what is it about you that is very unusual for your, the journey of what you're undertaking. Then the algorithm is to say, example A meets example B with a healthy dose of this unique differentiator. And if you start thinking about putting that together, it can, I think, really help to focus what it is you're doing and who you are as an artist.
So when we're hitting a sticky point in our work or struggling to find focus on exactly what it is we're aiming for, it's useful to jump into that reflection mode, looking deeply at what defines and separates us, and exploring the ways in which we could execute on this strategy of category creation. Maybe like Marc Rebillet, you're a multi-instrumentalist with some decent vocal ability, charisma, and the audacity to mix live improvised comedy with freestyle rap, and a musical knowledge that allows you to switch between song structures and genres in a flexible way. Or Peter McKinnon, the Canadian photo and video enthusiast, who would recognise the explosion in vlogging and a style of camera work they could get on board with, and combine this with storytelling abilities he'd grown through a background in product marketing, whilst incorporating the unique factor of being happy to one-arm a larger and more powerful vlogging camera than anyone else.
You can't be a jack of all trades. Peter is a perfect example. Peter on YouTube represents like really high quality, amazing cinematography, and because of that, he's able to represent himself in that narrow space.
Or perhaps you're more akin to Leshurr, the UK rapper who, struggling to break through in a crowded music scene, had a notion to do one-take rap videos, filmed outside on the streets, and with a specific editing style to draw attention to the clever wordplay and meet the needs of the internet's growing love for sample culture.
Look, these girls are bluffing, they really ain't on nothing. Nah, man. You can't do dirt on me. Are you gonna go and get your cousin? What?
Either way, your individual talent in parts might not be enough to break through on pure excellence. Only a very small few can find their place at the top of an established market. So instead, what we're looking to do is combine a number of talents or areas of special interest and create a heady new mix and category, digging out our own us-shaped space and unlocking the huge potential growth that can lie there.
Just doing one takes and things popping up when I point at them and be consistent with it. Originally, I only thought to do 4, but the 4th one was the one that done what it did. And ended up going on the Samsung advert just before the Super Bowl. People always getting onto me like, you know, I'm a gimmick and stuff. Let me be my gimmick, and I created my gimmick. Let me do my thing. It's helping me and providing for my family. I'm not even hurting anyone. People like singing it, and I make kids smile. Like, that's the best thing in the world, you know.
Now we're about to jump into the final section and lay out a few simple rules that can allow us to inhabit the category creator mindset in our work. But before we do that, just another quick reminder, if you're enjoying the video, please do consider dropping down and leaving a like below, or sharing your own story or thoughts in the comments. It's a great way to support the production of further work like this, and there's been multiple occasions where these comment sections have offered support and helpful stories for the other artists in this community. Right, with that said, let's get into the final step of the video here. And now we have the groundwork of understanding of the principle of category creation laid out. I want to set in some simple rules of approach. The first of these cornerstones to consider is relatively simple, but offers an important piece of guidance as we move through our projects and wind our way between the temptations of new possible opportunities that can present themselves. Stay true to your mission, Forbes article reminds us. Don't try to be something for everyone. Define your own journey and be something for the people who want to be part of that journey. Now, this reminds us not to dilute the power of our individual ideas when they come into contact with the world around us. Of course, feedback can be important to take on board, but as a category creator, it's important to maintain a close boundary around the goal of your work, believing strongly that the things you're doing have value and asking the audience to get on board.
The most efficient animal on the planet is a condor. The most inefficient animals on the planet are humans, but a human with a bicycle becomes the most efficient animal, and the right computer will be a bicycle for the mind.
You're telling me you have the right computer?
It's called Macintosh.
Sometimes this might lead us to doing things that seem anti-intuitive to the modern capitalist culture. We might watch as a competitor reacts to feedback and gains a step on us in the established market hierarchy, or be forced to leave money or opportunity on the table because moving in that direction doesn't align with the specific goal of what we're trying to do. As category creators, we have to be sure not to lose our focus and continue to understand that in the long run, it's this ability to offer a strong expression of a unique idea and not something diluted into the parameters of an established market that will in the end offer us that valuable separation.
They want slots, they want choices, they want options. The way we buy stereos, mix and match components.
John, listen to me. Whoever said the customer is always right was, I promise you, a customer.
The second mindset tag from the Forbes article that I want to cover is a key thing to remember when we're thinking about that category creation formula and developing new categories which might work for us. Ingrain into something familiar, the article states, to help them, i.e. the audience, understand where you're coming from. Try to draw some parallels with the thing that already exists and build out from that. To maintain a grip on this concept of recognizability, it can be helpful to remember that first conversation I had with my friends about the Action Bronson show and the idea of considering our own work within the context of that elevator pitch. I want to just restate here, as artists, I'm not trying to say that we need to limit ourselves always to trying to grow a larger audience for our work. Maybe it's the obscurity of your art and process that makes it such a valuable part of your identity and experience. But for many of us, creative expression is rooted in a need to communicate something of ourselves to the world around us. And so, it will be that interaction that happens between an audience and your output that can keep you motivated and expand your ambitions about how you want to express yourself. So with that said, whatever our practice, thinking about those familiar wedges of understanding that allow an audience to recognize what we're doing and find it more quickly compelling can be a powerful thing to keep in mind. Coming now to the final point I want to take away with us from the Forbes article, and a commentary here on the value of category creation. Don't worry about market size. When you create a new category, markets aren't given to you, you create them. And this is a big one, especially in the ever more global and connected society, where a principle like this one grows more truthful and important to understand every day. Jumping back to Action now, we can see how his career and market size for his brand functions far beyond that of a New York rapper. By combining that rap basis with his passion and knowledge for the food scene, Action became the go-to rapper for foodies around the world, and people who weren't into rap at all found him through the story of the chef turned rapper, whilst his music quickly became the soundtrack for chefs in many kitchens around the world. By working within that category creation formula then, Action built an audience of fans who were primed to follow him into the F That's Delicious series and his other success with food-based media. Then subsequently, that entertainer part of his character finds him now selling shoes, being a spokesperson in gym culture, and sitting on the freelancer payroll of the WWE roster. So yes, it's not easy to dig in and create a new category for your work, but if we reflect on our own unique skills and traits, mix those with familiar and recognizable interest spaces in modern culture, consider how the story of our own work will be told in a compelling way to a potential audience, and remember the benefits we might attain once the hard work of category creation pays off, then all this will surely separate ourselves from any need to compete, and over time, give our work the focus and strategic edge to cut through. In closing now, I want to leave us with a final reflection on passion and remembering that we're artists, not marketeers, and our success will be found in the specific skills and interests that have been built up through our lived experience inside this creative life.
If you find that you start a number of stories or pieces that you don't ever bother finishing, that you lose interest or faith in along the way, it may be that there's nothing at their center about which you care passionately. You need to put yourself at their center, you and what you believe to be true or right.
Okay, that's it for today. But if you enjoyed watching, consider dropping that like to support the channel, and go check out the artists from this community who helped soundtrack the video, with their link in the description below. Remember, if you're interested in submitting your own music for possible inclusion, you'll find a short article in the description that will explain how. And if you're not a musician, but some other type of artist, keep an ear out through the upcoming weeks, as I'm rolling out a community wall feature where visual artists can submit their work for inclusion in the videos as well. Right, with all that said, thanks for watching, hope you got something from the piece today, and good luck with whatever you're working on this week.